Hey everybody, it's almost time for our great adventure, just a couple more days before we head on out, and wanted to talk about one of the questions I see the most online, and that is, how do you pack your boat for a camping trip, especially like around the Horseshoe Bend where we are heading, or if we're doing an overnight camping trip someplace, or a multi-day camping trip, how do we pack our kayaks up for such a trip? So one of the things that we had to think about, Heather and I, is, well, there's two of us, and we're bringing our dogs, so we picked our boat specifically with that in mind. Each of our boats has plenty of room and plenty of capacity for one of us, an adult, a full-size dog, and all of our gear. And let me come and show you some of the stuff about the boat and why this works so well for us. So our boats are the Aquaglide Chelan 155. They are a 15.5-foot long boat with 600 pounds of capacity each. So that's given us a ton of space. Up here in the front, we have plenty of room in the seat for our paddler, for me. And then even with me in the seat, I have plenty of space in front of me for my dog. So here's where we tend to be for our paddling adventure. Then behind the boat, or behind our seat, we have all of this space here for our large cargo. So each boat has this much space. Underneath our deck cover, underneath the rear deck cover, we have a little bit of space back here. And then up in the front, under the front deck cover, we also have additional space that we can utilize in there. All right, so what kayak you have or what kayak you choose is going to be is really going to determine what gear you can take on your trip and how you load your gear. So what I've got here is I've broken my gear into two piles, one for each boat. And so let's talk about the different sets of gear that I'm going to load for our kayak trip. So starting here for boat number one, we have a bag here, a dry bag. This will contain our clothes. This will contain any of our personal needs. I have a chair in a dry bag. Most of my stuff is going to be in dry bags, so you know it's dry for us when we get to camp. I have a small cooler. This is an REI soft shell cooler. I have a camp stove. I have a miscellaneous tool bag. This is going to have things like my camp shovel, a saw for cutting wood, lighter. I'm not going to go too much in detail of what's in each of these bags, but these are my miscellaneous tools. I have my tent bag. This has my tent and our entire sleep system. And then on this side, I have a dry bag with some dog supplies. So dog food could be in here or whatever else I need. On this other side, I'm gonna have similar loadout. I have a much larger hard shell Yeti cooler. This is where we'll normally keep our food. The soft REI cooler for the other boat will keep drinks. And this would be for a multi-day camping trip. If I was doing a single overnight, probably only need one cooler. If I'm doing multi-day, I could have two coolers. And so this would contain all of our food. I have a, what is this, a picnic blanket. Dogs like to lay on it, so if I want to bring it for the dogs, for comfort for them, or even for us just to lay on the ground, we can use that. I have another chair in a dry bag. I have a bag with all of our cooking supplies. I have a bag with all of my batteries, lights, so power supplies here. I have another bag full of personal items, clothes for me. So Heather gets one, I get one. And I have a table because we're spoiled and we're not backpacking. We get to bring a little bit more gear than a backpacker would. So I have a table. And then finally, if I am camping in a spot with no amenities, I bring a little toilet seat just to make squatting a little bit easier. Let's show how we load the kayak up with all of this gear. Okay, so I have my gear laid out for the kayak. I've split it up from what's going to go in the front side of the kayak and what's going to go in the back side of the kayak. So let's start loading this kayak up. We'll start in the front. In the front of the kayak, I'm going to take advantage of the deck space underneath our deck cover here. And in this case, I'm going to shove in our dog supplies. So I'm just going to push this into that space underneath there. On top of my deck, I am going to put our clothing bag, so that will tie down here. I will use these bungees. Of course, this bag is empty right now, but it could be full of clothes or would be full of clothes, and I'll just use these bungees here to secure my bag to the deck. Moving on to the rear of the kayak. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fill the underspace of the deck cover. And so in this case, I'm going to take our chair and just shove that right under there. There we go. Our chair fits in there nicely. I'm going to take our camp stove. This is a fairly good size, but it fits well into our boat. We'll just set this right behind our seat. And then I will take our cooler, put it on top of that. Behind the cooler, I'm going to take our tool bag and set it underneath here. We can see I still have a lot of space here. It's wide open in here. I can fill with additional supplies if I need. So there's a lot of flexibility for what I can take on my trip. Finally, on this kayak, I'm going to put our tent and sleep system. So take this nice 100-liter bag. I'm going to set it across here like so. I have flexibility. Maybe if it balances better, I can go this direction. Now for the second kayak, I'm going to load it up similarly to how I loaded the first. I'm going to shove this picnic blanket as an example underneath this front deck cover. Actually, putting something under this deck cover helps give this some support. And then I would add my clothing bag to this deck cover, just like we did with the other kayak, and secure that. You'll notice I haven't put the seat in yet because this cooler is a little bit larger. So let me show this. I will actually put the cooler in before I put the seat. I'm going to put this cooler back as far as I can get it. And there we go. Here's my cooler. And it takes up a lot more space than the other cooler did on the other kayak. That's why this one has a little bit less of the heavy stuff. Behind the cooler, underneath my deck cover, I am going to put my camping chair. Then in the deck cargo space behind the cooler, I will put my cook kit. On top of that, I will add my table. Behind this, I would add maybe the toilet seat. This could be attached or secured to the rear deck. Hey, look, I forgot something. Remember that space I showed in the other kayak? Well, that's where that goes. There we go. Okay, we have everything in the kayak except for our seat. The seats for the Aquaglide have Velcro strips across the bottom. That allows them to be installed anywhere along this floor. And then we have straps with clips that will connect to the D-rings to adjust the back support. So now that I have the cooler in place, I'm going to just leave a little bit of space between the cooler and my seat so I can sit comfortably. I should put this down and take our straps. You want a little bit of room for adjustment. I could clip here, but that doesn't give me much back adjustment, so I'm going to clip here to the front one. There we go. And then we would just pull the excess tight so the seat offers some back support while we're sitting in the kayak. And then, well, what about this Yeti jug? Well, it's a gallon Yeti jug. This is a luxury, and I found it fits perfectly right here in front of the seat. So now, I move the seat forward a little bit. I will move my footrest forward just a tiny bit. And I can now sit comfortably in the kayak, Yeti jug out of the way, and I am ready to go. So that's how we pack up our kayak. Again, your kayak you may have to load it differently. You may want to bring different gear. So I recommend do a dry run like I have here. Lay out your gear. If you have multiple kayaks like I do, just figure out the best way to balance it. All right, so my kayaks are all loaded up for a big adventure, and we have an exciting adventure ahead of us. I have a full month off from work. I have a sabbatical, and we're going to take advantage of that, and we're going to go travel around the country, kayaking, kayak camping, regular camping, and we're going to do the best we can, put all this on YouTube, share this experience with all of our family, all of our friends. We'd love to have you follow us along on our journey. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications. We're going to try to post videos onto YouTube as we complete our journey. We're also on Instagram, maybe able to get some videos up on TikTok, AZ1Go if you want to follow us there. But it's going to be an exciting adventure. It's going to be an exciting month. Who knows what all is going to happen. I expect some crazy events, and we're going to try to share all of it with you.